Yes, chef.
With Ryan.
Hands down the most delicious corner we have here on Daily K with our wonderful, delicious chef, Ryan, in the studio. Good morning, Ryan.
Buenos días, señor. ¿Cómo estás?
Thank you so much for bringing in some sweet, sweet-smelling food. One of my favourites as well. So today, we're going to talk about samgyeopsal. And apparently there was a survey done with foreigners visiting Korea, and they said that the food they wanted to try the most was pork belly, samgyeopsal, while the food they wanted to take back home with them was ramyeon, or instant noodles.
A little easier to travel with that.
This is true, rather than a whole pork belly, right? So why do foreigners love samgyeopsal so much? And Koreans, I guess we're going to find out about that today, was special types of samgyeopsal.
Yeah, we should clarify, you know, whenever you go around and you ask, oh, where's a samgyeopsal restaurant?
Yeah.
They might not point you to one that does it this way. Okay,
of course, today is quite special.
This is a special kind that's incredibly popular and found all over Korea, but kind of new. Kind of like only about 15, 20 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not been around too long.
When people usually say samgyeopsal, they're talking about the thicker pork belly.
Sure.
And it's like bacon, but without the curing and without the smoking.
It's plain,
So, yeah, you can, if you go to any supermarket, usually in the West, you can get pork belly, but you kind of have to ask for it because usually people are finding bacon or some kind of cured pork belly.
Yeah.
But they have it. You just got to, ask them and they'll pull some out for you.
Yeah, in the UK in the past 5 to 10 years, pork belly as a cut, not baconified, I'm going to make up a word there, is becoming more and more popular. So you'll often find it, they'll sell it in a tray, like a aluminium tray, and then you can just cook it like that in the oven. You just put the tray in there.
So it's really simple to just take it home and throw
it
it
is
in.
delicious, but it's not cut the same way as in Korea. It's like just a big slab of pork belly, and then you cut it however you want.
You could score it and get it crispy on the top.
It's so good. The skin on the top, we call it crackling in the UK. And my goodness, just a bit of salt on there. And it's delicious.
I got some recipes for you on those.
Seriously.
Pork belly is loved around the world, I think. And in China, there's all different kinds of ways it's done. And here, it's loved as well. And this one, although it's kind of new, it grew in popularity so quickly that the gentleman who started this now has restaurants everywhere. Every neighborhood in Korea has his picture.
Who started it.
Yeah,
and then he's just franchised his restaurant all over the place.
In Gangnam, along kind of the only kind of older market street that's left around the Gangnam area.
Yeah,
there was a restaurant, and the story goes that because this is a really thin cut, the story goes that the meat slicer was broken, and they couldn't get it to open up to cut bigger slices to do the normal or the more traditional samgyeopsal. And so they had to cut it really thin. And then what happened? I mean, imagine, the bali mentality. People are in a hurry. We
want to eat.
And you're hungry.
Yeah.
When you're doing samgyeopsal, how long does it take you? You come in and they set it down to cook, and then you have to wait probably not super long. It's like 15, 20 minutes, right?
Yeah. But there is a wait to get it cooked right the way through, especially the thicker slabs.
Right. And you got to watch it, and you got to stare at it.
Yeah. You're just smelling, eating some of the side dishes, but really waiting for the main event.
Yeah. But with this, you're talking like 2 minutes, right? 3 minutes.
I
on a
have
hot
not
grill.
had this that often. So this is known as tepe samgyeopsal.
That's right.
So the thin pork belly slices. We're also going to touch upon ugyopsal, which is like the 5-layered, maybe, Right said it's translated directly as short plate.
Yeah, it's what this is the, when this restaurant took off so well doing the thin pork, then they expanded and started doing a thin beef cut as well.
Oh, okay. So
it's the next logical step in the business. And it was really smart because now you can go into just about any butcher shop and get these cuts, whereas in the beginning, it was just the restaurants doing these.
Oh, sorry. So I was getting confused here. So the tepe samgyeopsal, and we're going to do the samgyeop, not the ugyopsal. Ogyopsal. Ogyopsal
Not
is what I'm thinking.
ogyopsal. Yeah, it does get a little. They sound similar.
Yes. So
Yeah.
ogyopsal is the 5-layered pork
that
which
has-
is pretty similar to samgyeopsal.
Yes, it's just skin on pork belly.
Yeah,
basically.
just
Yeah.
an added couple of layers. But we're
Little
going to do
chewy
the
bits.
samgyeop, which could also confuse definitely foreigners thinking, well, that sounds like samgyeopsal. Is that not the same? But it's like you said, the beef cut, right?
It's a beef cut, and I might be wrong here, but I imagine what was happening is this CEO, this businessman who was so successful with these restaurants, he then wanted to branch out and do something new, and so he wanted a thin cut of beef.
Yeah.
And then they're looking at different cuts of beef, what would work and
Sure.
what's not too expensive as well.
Yeah.
And between the brisket, the brisket cut that's found in Yukgaejang.
Yeah.
A
lot of soups,
A lot of
right?
different stews use
Yeah.
that because it does have to be cooked a while to be tender.
Sure.
Between there is this like short plate and then down below there, a little bit closer to kind of belly between the skirts, the skirt steak of the beef, is this cut that's used.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I think it's underprivileged. I think it's underknown because this stuff is pretty good, and I'm gonna mess with you a little bit here.
No, so the restaurants that do that as well, it's delicious, the samgyeop. Like, they'll give you a load of leaves as well to like put it into, salad leaves. They'll give you some great sauces, sometimes some rice cake as well, some thinly sliced
Sure.
rice cake.
Well, it's kind of like all the restaurants that do the meat at the table. They're done in so many different ways here.
Yeah.
There's really no general rule. Now, the restaurants that made these famous, they have their own marinades and styles and sauces that they'll usually put out. But then there's a whole nother range of folks that are doing something similar, maybe more spicy marinades or just more traditional. I have to say that when I first saw this style,
Yeah.
I thought, well, why would I want this little wimpy thin piece of meat when I can have the big chunks?
Sure. There's less flavor you expect, in that tiny thin cut.
That's
right?
what I thought. But, I was wrong to assume that because although with the pork belly, it's a cut that we're really familiar with. With the wait, I don't want to show you.
Okay,
which
I'm not
one's
going to
which.
look.
With the beef, it's not a cut that we normally enjoy. And so by doing it thin like this, it's allowing us to enjoy a piece that we normally wouldn't eat that way. So it is something really unique and interesting, and that I took for granted that maybe, I want a steak. I don't want this thin meat. And I think I was wrong. And so I learned my lesson.
Yeah, and that beef, literally, if you've got a hot grill or griddle going, it will take like seconds to be done.
Oh, it's so fast.
So if you're hungry, it's perfect. You're like, psh, psh.
Another nice thing about this from like the marketing side is when this plate comes to your table, it looks like, 3 kilos of meat because it's curled in circles because when it's sliced thin, it's frozen.
Yeah.
And so it naturally just curls up. And so that piles up really tall.
Looks amazing.
It's only about maybe 500 grams, but it looks like a mountain of meat.
It's just full of air, isn't it?
Yeah, so well, we eat with our eyes before, we taste anything. It's
true.
And you see that and you're like, whoa, and so it's exciting.
Yeah, that is one aspect of it that I didn't think about. But yeah, it would look like you're getting a feast when you can demolish that pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
And so you've brought those 2 dishes today, the 2 versions, and I must say they look very similar, don't they?
Yeah.
So we've got one of these is pork and one of these is the beef, and I guess we're going to do a little game of guessing which is which.
Yes,
but
and there is a prize.
Oh, is there a
or
prize?
A punishment.
A punishment?
Yeah.
Yes, I saw you and my producer plotting during the song break. Why punish me? Hey, what have I done? But can you buy these cuts then easily abroad, do you think? The pork belly, I'm guessing you could just buy the pork belly and thinly slice it.
Absolutely. Well, you want your butcher to do it for you. It's not easy. It's not an easy cut to slice because of the fat in there. But butchers always have meat slicers.
Yeah.
You've usually got them separated, one for pork, one for beef. And yeah, so you can get these cuts and just ask them to slice them.
And so the beef you would be asking for this short plate and then just cut it thinly.
That's right. That's right.
But not a cut we usually eat.
Between the brisket, not one that I'm real familiar with. It has a lot. it has a lot of fat in it.
Yeah.
But when you slice it really thin, excuse me, when you slice it really thin and you put it on a grill where the fat is able to drip down, right? It's disappearing rapidly. So you're not consuming all that fat.
No.
But it does add to the kind of the flavor, the texture, and there's plenty of meat there too on both cuts. And
okay.
So
it's really simple to do, and what you've put on top is just the spring onions, right?
Very often this is served with depa or like Korean leeks, and there's a neat way. It's one of my favorite side dishes here, really, where they just run that tool down them to make kind of like julienne or long shoestrings.
It's got multiple blades. That tool. You have to be very careful when doing it.
It's really fast and nice to have, and then it will be mixed with spicy sauce.
Here I've got the... I love that.
Yes, it's one of my favorite side dishes in Korea, and it's so simple.
They even have that with fried chicken as well, the padak.
Yes.
And that tastes amazing as well. I never knew spring onions are so good just raw and fresh.
Well, and also when you're cooking these at the table, often they'll give you a lot to cook with it.
Yeah.
And they get those crispy bits, and all the sweetness in the depa or the Korean leeks will caramelize, and that is a totally different kind of flavor from the same ingredient.
Okay, so if I get it right, what is going to happen?
Next week, do you know our topic next week?
No.
A lot of folks have been asking about ramyun.
So
we've never really talked about Korean ramen.
This is true. Yeah, instant noodles.
So it's going to be real easy for me. I don't have to do anything.
You have to cook the ramyun well.
I got to pour water on it.
No, there is. I'm very picky about my ramyun.
Okay. All right. Point taken.
And if I win, we get
one of them is going to be really spicy.
Oh, no. I've done this
before. So if you win, if you guess it right, I will take the spicy one.
Yes.
And if you guess it wrong...
Okay. And you know which is which,
the
right?
spicy's on you. Yes.
The ridiculously spicy one are we talking about?
It's kind of fair, but it's kind of unfair because, you have to do the choosing, but it does affect me as well. So.
All right, let's go for this then. Can I eat it with the sauce? So this is the samjang that we talk about often in Korea.
Yeah, I made that for you. Okay. And there's some spicy peppers if you need one of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got some beet leaves, some lettuce, some
So you've just
leaves.
Done this on a pan at home or on a...
Yeah. You usually want the fat to be able to drain away. So either, a grill that has little slits in it to where the fat can drip down, or a slanted pan is the way it's often done here.
That samjang is so good. Is that
making
homemade?
Me hungry, man. Yes, actually, that's a combination of the gochujang and the doenjang and some chamgiram, the toasted sesame oil, the red pepper paste, and the fermented soybean paste, and they were made by friends of mine and given to me.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's pretty solid stuff. Yeah.
So
a little sweet, a little spicy, a little funky.
What's this bit called? The kind of gristle.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, when you get pork belly, bacon, it's trimmed off.
Yes.
Right, and it has those like tendons running through there. But samgyeopsal, it's not usually taken off. So
that could well be a big hint, Ryan.
Can be a surprise.
Okay, and let's try the other one.
He's already found it.
Yes, because I'm pretty sure that the ugyopsal
I should have had you pick
that.
without tasting them. You should have just been able to tell by looking at them.
Oh my goodness, they are very different though. Very different. The texture is very different, and the flavor definitely from this. I'm 100% sure this is the beef.
I should have had him try this without tasting them. This is
usamgyup. You're right. They do look very similar, but once it's in your mouth, very, very different. That has a much deeper flavor, I feel, the beef.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Spicy ramyun's on me next week.
I am going to make it extra spicy for you. I'm going to find some ghost pepper ramyun.
I'm not scared.
You're pretty good with spicy foods. This is absolutely delicious. The texture of the beef, it is very thin, so it's not like you're eating a really juicy steak or anything, but it's still really tasty. And I think you do need some kind of sauce as well with it. Like if you just eat it by itself, maybe it can be a bit dry as well. But that's, I guess, because it's been cooked and left for a little while.
Right. It wouldn't ever be dry at the restaurants, if you're doing it right away. I had to bring this up from home, and I actually did want to cook it in here because it cooks so fast. But I think folks
Not
have
allowed.
been mad at us for
Health and
having
safety.
that smell through the day and around here. So
Definitely. MJ is always very jealous on a Tuesday, the DJ afterwards. He's like, what have you eaten today? Where is it for me? I'm like, oh, sorry.
we'll just leave one covered up here for me. Let 'em find it.
Maybe. I want to eat some more after the song break. Maybe we'll try it with some leaves, right? And we can do that. We'll play a song then and come to your messages as well. Don't forget, let us know what's in your fridge. We've still got a couple left over, I think, from last week. And we've got a couple that have come in now. But if there's anyone else out there, tell us the ingredients in your fridge and Chef Ryan will come up with a delicious, amazing recipe for you in part number 2. All right, we're going to play some Big Mama. This one is Beautiful Day. We're back for part 2 of Yes Chef with Ryan. Ryan is busy making his sam, and this is the thing about barbecue in Korea. This is the highlight. Making the sam, or what do we call it? Like a salad leaf wrap.
That's it, man.
With the meat in the middle, the sauce, the samjang. You've got this pickled radish slices, right?
A little sweet, a little sour.
But you like to go 2-layer there, double layer.
Oh, yeah.
The salad leaf and the radish in there.
Oh, man. One time I was at a restaurant and a Korean friend, they grabbed the lettuce and the perilla leaf. And I was like, you
Wow.
can do that?
Yeah,
You know
I
what
didn't know that was allowed.
So good.
Seriously. So you munch away on that, Ryan. It's etiquette to eat it all in one as well, right? It's not rude whatsoever. Is that good?
Was really good.
Was that with the pork samgyeop or the samgyeop? Do you remember? The pork.
Usamgyeop.
Oh, the samgyeop.
You forgot. That's
I-
it. You're eating the spicy ramen.
We'll both do both of those. How about that? That sounds fair.
Oh, man, that's good.
And these are the perilla leaves,
The ones
right?
Peter hates.
Yeah, I do dislike them quite vividly. They often put them in kimbaps as well, and you'll often see them with barbecues to wrap up your meat in. But yeah, they have that smell. They're kind of herby.
You've got to try that way. You got to get the beet leaf.
Yeah, let's do the beet leaf one.
Dude,
Okay.
try this. He said during the break that he usually stays away from the beet leaves because they're kind of tough.
Yeah.
We all know how finicky Peter is about the food and the textures. But get this.
Uh-huh.
Okay. The pickled radish.
I love the pickled radish. It's so
It
good.
has kind of a funny smell when you open these containers because it's pickled radish.
This is true.
But
I'm going to
it's
try
so
something
delicious.
different. How about this? Can't be common in restaurants. I'm going to try a bit of pork and a bit of
beef?
Yeah, let's go for that.
all right, shame
You think
on
that'll ruin
okay.
it?
Nah.
Oh, okay, let's dip it in some sauce.
Yeah.
You've also got the chili peppers there.
You ready to try one?
What? Yeah. Well, how are we? Are they spicy ones?
Yeah, those are the hot ones.
Really? And so, do you like to just eat them with a bit of the samjang?
Yes,
on them?
I do. And I won't always go down to the stem part because that's where it gets really spicy.
With all the seeds, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's give this a try. Okay.
This is pretty awesome.
So I'm meant to fit this all into my mouth, and I'm sure I can do so. Let's see how this tastes.
He's gonna be happy.
Mmm.
Yeah, that little bit of sweetness, right? Right.
It's so juicy. Because of the radish as well. Oh, it's so good. It's so much better than just eating the meat.
Well, I have to, say that this came from the farm too. Not the perilla leaves. They're not really in season yet on an open farm. But the kale and the lettuce and the beet leaves, and then this hobak ip, a pumpkin leaf or a zucchini leaf. You steam those, and they're really nice.
That is sometimes used as a sam as
Right,
well.
it's very seasonal right now too. If you walk through any of the old traditional markets, they've got hobak ip for sale.
That beet leaf actually has quite a bit of flavour in it as
Right.
well, compared to other salad leaves.
Man, crazy thing about beet leaves. I just had that pop up, a couple weeks ago at the farm,
Yeah.
and folks were like, "What leaf was that was salty?" And I was like, "Oh, it's crazy." Beets, they put all the sugar into the beet,
Yeah.
and then somehow the stem, especially, but the leaf as well, a little bit, has a salinity to it. It's really amazing.
Yeah, the flavour's nice, and especially with the radish as well. It kind of, for me, balances it out. I do not advise you to mix the pork and the beef, though, because that was a bit of a weird experience in my mouth.
Okay.
It was delicious, though. The usamgyeop is definitely my favourite here.
So good.
And I've got to be honest. I'm going to be honest. I much prefer the thick slab of pork belly to the thin
okay.
ones.
Okay.
To this tepe. It's nice, but you get a more kind of textural experience in your mouth. And I like that juiciness, and sometimes the fat's a bit crispy on the outside, but still like soft in the middle. So that's my preferred method for samgyeopsal.
I'd probably have to agree with you. But you respect them for their differences, I guess, and you get tired of having it one way and you go have it the other way and then go back.
And don't forget that bacon is very thinly sliced compared to the samgyeopsal.
Very similar,
isn't it? Let's try the peppers then, because it seems like a waste.
Seriously? All right, I'll take the red one because it's probably hotter.
Really?
Yeah.
And so you'll often find this in the Korean restaurants. Not usually these small ones, like the bigger ones.
Right, because the big ones aren't that spicy.
Yeah.
Or they're not spicy at all.
Yeah,
really.
Exactly. Some of them are quite sweet, aren't they?
But these puppies get hot, buddy.
What are these? Are these 청양 gochu?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
So 청양 gochu or 청양 chili peppers are famous for being spicy, right? And you often cut up a few slices to put into your soup or your stew.
I would compare it to like kind of like a hybrid between a cayenne and a jalapeno, maybe. Is that one really hot? They're not always really hot.
That's true. They're not always.
Yeah, but
this
the closer
one is
you get,
really hot. My goodness. And there's lots of seeds even at the tip of these. Wow, it's a real kick. And that's so tiny as well. Like, you wouldn't think it could be that spicy.
This one's not hot at all. Sorry, buddy.
They do get hotter than this, certainly. It's not unbearably hot, but do you know what is perfect? Because we've got some meat here as well. That will balance out the spiciness. So I'm just doing this, obviously, for the viewers at home. Not because I like this, but because I need to balance the spice.
Yeah, right.
Because there's lots of fat, the texture is so smooth. It almost, especially if it was hot, it would like melt in your mouth. Yeah. Oh,
that's awesome.
So delicious. So delicious. So many messages as well coming in. I think a lot of food jealousy going on. Let me just swallow. So we got Soakdoll who's saying, now it's time to get hungry because of the samgyeopsal. We've got to think of the listeners as well. You should do this, listeners. Eat the same thing as us together at home. That would be fun, wouldn't it? Siska says here, Chef Ryan, Peter is happy this morning because you're bringing in amazing, yummy food. Tilly said the delicious chef. Did I hear that correctly? Yeah, Ryan, you're pretty delicious, aren't you?
Why, thank you.
I think people have described you that way before. I'm also excited here. Samgyeopsal, gosh, my favourite. But don't know if I've had the 5-layer one. The taste is quite similar, right? The ugeopsal.
Yeah.
The orgeopsal, sorry.
Yeah.
Orgeopsal. All meaning 5, right?
Yeah, it's got the pig skin on it, the belly skin on there. Yeah. And so, that might scare some people off, I suppose, but the texture is what people are going for there. It has this little chewy texture to it. And when you get it crispy on the edges and it's like kind of, it almost gets stuck in your teeth. It's so kind of thick and chewy. But it's really, really nice, actually.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll leave in a few of the hairs of the pig on the skin.
For the black pig to prove that it's black pig.
That can really freak people out.
That is weird.
It did freak me out as well. But I still had it, because once you put it on the grill, sometimes it will just burn off. And then there's just like the little remnants.
Well, once you taste that Jeju black pig, then you don't care anymore. You're not scared at all.
Absolutely. We've got a message here from Annie as well, from Singapore. And Annie says, good morning, Chef Ryan and Peter. Oh my, you're talking about my favourite samgyeopsal today. I love it barbecued. Is the ugeopsal more delicious or expensive? In terms of price, how do these...
Oh, it's definitely more expensive for the beef.
Yeah. But the
here in Korea, but
sure.
Actually, I would venture to say that they're the same price back in the West, maybe.
Oh.
Yeah, because this is not an expensive cut back home for me, really at all, the beef cut.
But I think for both of these cuts, I think compared to their weight, maybe they're a little more expensive because, like you said, they look like they're a lot when they come out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I guess, what did I pay for these?
Do you buy them at the supermarket?
My butcher shop, my favorite butcher shop, my good friends there. I think, God, I didn't even ask them how much it was. I just paid. Maybe it was around $7 or $8 for 500 grams. So it's $7 or $8 a pound.
Wow.
Or for 500 grams.
So that's not what you'll pay at the restaurant.
They were about the same. Maybe the beef was a little more expensive. At the restaurant, right, it'd be quite a bit more than, probably 3 times that.
Sure. Closer towards $20 for that amount. And for samgyeopsal, the general thick cuts, you can usually get those from between, I guess, about 15,000 won for one portion for one person.
Well, it does make a big difference if you're, in Korea, there's always a sign in the restaurant that says where the meat is coming from.
Oh, yeah.
It's a law.
Sure.
And there are big differences in price between domestic and imports.
Premiums put on domestic meats,
yes,
right?
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, they are delicious after all. Will says from Canada, I hope you're keeping well, Chef Ryan. I really have been looking forward to this one, as pork belly is an easy ingredient to get here. So definitely will. Give it a try. Like we said, get your butcher to cut it this thinly, because it can be difficult with the fat on the raw meat to cut it like this, right?
Oh, by the way, it cuts a lot easier if it's frozen or if it's at least like really, really chilled. That's how you get the rings.
Yeah, so that's fine to do, right? Freeze the meat and then cut it.
Yeah, I mean, fresh meat is always more expensive than frozen because it will lose moisture when it thaws out.
Yeah.
Now, with chicken or fish, I always tell my students, don't buy frozen. But with beef and pork, it's not as big of an issue, I would say.
Yeah, I'm guessing maybe these have been frozen, these cuts. Perhaps.
These have definitely been frozen.
Yeah.
That's how they get that ring. So
Sure.
maybe if it's they sell here in Korea, they'll say frozen, and they'll also have like chilled, and then they'll have fresh. And when they say like chilled, it's basically at 0 degrees. So it's not like deep freeze,
completely
uber
hard.
frozen, right? It's like fresh, but then they're just keeping it longer by having it right at 0 degrees.
Okie dokie. And these still taste great despite the fact they've been frozen. I think you're right. With these kind of red meats, it's not such a big difference.
Right.
And Will goes on to say, with the pickled radish, if I wanted to do that at home, how could I do it and how long would they last?
Oh, there's all different kinds. There's another one that's really popular that uses wasabi, but basically you just need sugar, salt, and vinegar.
Is that all that's probably in there?
A little bit of water too. Yeah,
that's so easy.
I'll bet you this actually. I bought this. I didn't make it myself, I'm afraid. And I'll bet you it also has maybe some dashida in there,
some MSG,
some seasoning. Yeah, flavor enhancers. Let's just call them flavor enhancers. Yeah.
Not bad sometimes. I do like a smattering of that, especially in my naengmyeon, my ice cold noodles.
Well, they occur naturally in vegetables, and what those flavor enhancers do is basically, shorten the process of getting that flavor. So you don't have to make a proper stock. You can just stir in a powder.
And so to do this radish, you'd have to find this Oriental style radish for a start, and then you slice it
very thinly, and then add in your brine. And this particular brine, I would say, is 1-to-1 vinegar and water, and a white vinegar. This is probably a brown rice vinegar because that's what's most common around here usually. And then you will heat that up and add in sugar and salt. Much more sugar than salt. This is pretty sweet, right?
Yeah.
And then cool it down, pour it over your sliced radish, and then throw it in the fridge for at least 12 hours, and good to go.
Oh, only 12 hours, and that'll be enough? Because it's thinly sliced, I guess.
Right.
Fantastic. We'll give that a try and let us know how it goes. Roz from the US says, hi, Peter and Ryan. So I have a meat slicer. How thick should these slices be? Am I correct in understanding if I slightly freeze the meat, not solid, the slices will come out better? We've just said that, right?
Absolutely.
It's more consistent and safer to cut. Absolutely. And this would be the same pork belly cut as used in Filipino lechon, right? Do you know lechon?
Yes, pork belly.
Oh, really?
Same.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how thick are we talking?
I'd say 1/8 of an inch. How many millimeters is that, Peter? Do you know?
1/8 of an inch. 1 inch is 2.5 centimeters.
There you go.
So 1/8 of that would be 2.5. I don't know. a few millimeters.
Actually,
3 millimeters, 4 millimeters.
Most coins in most countries would be about the thickness that you would want. So that's a pretty good range. If you had the Obek 1 coin, the 50-cent coin, that thickness would probably be it. I've seen them different ranges. I've seen the pork often done a little bit thicker, but the beef is almost always really, really thin. And I think that's because of the cut.
Yeah. And Soap Doll said, you two are really killing me. My eyes, my ears, my stomach are all suffering.
This is I think this is one of the best foods we've had, honestly. Because you get the full range. Often we'll bring in stuff and it'll be like a one dish kind of thing.
Yeah.
But here you've got the flavor. This is a good example of Korean flavors.
Perfect.
Altogether.
And Roz goes on to say, I'm still wondering what to do about my amaranth that I told you about before.
Oh, I thought I messaged you about that. I'm so sorry. Okay, yeah, yeah, the seeds. I've found the seeds now for sale in the market near me.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's
It's okay. It's on your to-do list.
Yeah, well, I thought we talked about it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll get back to you on it too.
No. Okay, so we've also got one last post here from Ancient Moon, from Ing Yin, who says there are 8 flavors of samgyeopsal that I had last week. Oh, that I saw, but I only got to taste the ginseng samgyeopsal. Wow.
No, I had that.
There's also hot, as in spicy, I guess, curried versions, miso paste versions. I've been to some places that marinate it in wine as well.
Wow, I've not tried that.
It's not bad at all, yeah, absolutely. So today we've been talking all about samgyeopsal mainly, and the tepe samgyeopsal in particular, the thin pork belly, and also the short plate cut, which is known as usamgyeop, with Chef Ryan in the studio. You can check us out every single day on Arirang Radio. It's #DailyK 9 to 11 a.m. and you can watch a video of this segment on Arirang Radio's YouTube channel. Just type Arirang Radio into YouTube.